Hey there, just wanted to do an alchemy update. Here's the tinctures I was working on in the last video, and you can see that the one on the right, which had the calcinated ash salts added back to it, after 24 hours it did in fact change color. And currently I'm testing these for potency to see which one's stronger. Okay, in the last video I discussed astrology. Now I want to discuss astronomy, kind of astronomy combined with astrology. There's a few things that I found online that I think will be very good tools for anyone interested in further exploring the effect of planetary bodies on chemistry or any other phenomenon here on Earth. This website's called theplanetstoday.com, and it's pretty cool. It's basically a map of the solar system. Whoops, oh, the screensaver's set to. Anyway, so map of the solar system. Here's the date, August 8th, and you can go forwards or backwards in time. Notice the moon moving around the Earth. It shows you where Mercury is, shows you where everybody is. When a planet goes into retrograde, it highlights it in pink. So we'll just go back in time to when Mercury was in retrograde, and you'll see when it, we're going back in time. There it is. Okay, so August 1st, it was in retrograde, and then it came out of retrograde on the 2nd. Now, that whole retrograde thing, scientifically speaking, it's just a visual effect from Earth. Any true scientific effect from the planets is really more based on proximity and arrangement. So this changes how the gravitational forces and radioactive forces affect Earth. So what I came up with in lieu of a advanced astrological chart is just what I call the visual and proximity effect, VAPE for short. So if you wanted to understand what the planets were doing, you've got visual effect, like you can just go outside and see that, look, there's the moon or there's Venus. And then also looking at this map, you can determine what is the proximity of the planets right now. For example, here, Mars is basically on the other side of the solar system relative to Earth, whereas we're pretty close to Saturn and Jupiter right now. So that would be the proximity effect, and for proximity you can go to theplanetstoday.com. I would also recommend downloading an app onto your phone that can show you the position of the planets in real time outside. Now I won't be able to show you on this phone, but here's a simulation of it. And I think some of you have seen these, but basically you get your phone, download this app, and then whichever direction you point the phone, it'll show you what the planets are, what planets and stars and constellations you're looking at. And I think between these two web applications, the online map that shows how the solar system is arranged, and then the three-dimensional constellation maps that also show planets that you can download on your phone, between those two you can get a really good idea of where you are in the solar system and which planets are close and which ones may have an effect on your works. Again, that would have to be tested to see if there are effects from planets that could affect your work whenever they're in close proximity. So when it comes to harvesting herbs, there's another reference I want to give you here. saltwatertides.com. So this is a great website you can go to and walk through the steps, and you can determine what the sea level is doing relative to the moon phase. So, for example, if you were going to harvest an herb that had a medicine in the root, You might want to pick a time at night, and you might want to pick a time when the tide was low. And this usually corresponds with a new moon. But you could look at this chart and really make sure what's going on, because if the moon can affect the height of the ocean, it surely can affect your potency of a herb, especially something where the plant has a very short season of bloom. And that's what I do for harvesting plants. There are other methods, like in the Spagyrics book, it talks about using the planets associated with each different herb. So there'll be hundreds of herbs, and they'll all be designated to a planet. I don't think that's as good for a harvest as watching the seasonal variations in your area, finding out when the plant is ripe, and then going to a real-time lunar or solar chart and figuring out scientifically when your plant may be in its strongest chemical state, and then pulling the plant at that time. The associations are interesting, though. If you ever wanted to know more about that, I could go back to the Spagyrics book and show you. So that's about all I wanted to show on today's astronomy deal. And like I said, theplanetstoday.com. Pretty cool. Just get an idea of where you are in the solar system. To finish up this video, I want to give you some references. Some online YouTubers that I've been following over the years, and I really think they'll be beneficial to people that want to learn. So I'll put these in the description as well, links in the description, or at least properly spelled references, so you can learn more. Kymia Arts, and that's Avery Hopkins. I like that guy. I like his channel. I think it's a pretty good channel, and really would like to get together with him sometime, because I've had some pretty cool ideas regarding a reworking, an alchemical reworking of the Byzantine flamethrower and the Greek fire. I have some pretty good experience in that area, and I think between the two of us we could recreate a really amazing display. Terrence McKenna, he's great for the study of the mystical. If you want scientific, sort of more nerdy type of modern day knowledge, VSauce, I really like that guy's channel. You can learn so much from that dude. An old guy, well, I don't mean to call him old, but he's been around on the internet for at least 10 years. I've been watching him. Greenpowerscience. Dan Rojas with Greenpowerscience. Cool dude, man. Cool guy. And he's been around a while. And wiring is, yes, he does wiring. He knows all about solar and alternate energy. So that's a good one. Tarl Warwick. I purchased, actually found his name on one of the Alchemy books I purchased. I did not, and he's like 8 years younger than me, and this dude's, man, really successful author, re-editing old occult texts. I don't necessarily agree with everything, of his opinions, but his opinions change over time, and he's a pretty cool guy. He's got a good channel. So Tarl Warwick. And let's see. Now, if you want to go more serious into the occult, and when I say that, I mean that which is hidden, I would recommend Mark Passio and another fellow named Marcus, who has the Confusion series, or to unravel the confusion, rather, is what he's trying to do. Those are more heavy topics, and when I say occult, it's not the oogity-boogity things you would think of. It's things that are hidden in common knowledge, that practices that the whole world does that end up being detrimental to humanity. So it's good to learn those things, but be prepared to have your entire outlook on life altered if you really truly go down that path. I'm just giving you a degree of caution. If you kind of like living in bliss, you may not want to study all those things, but they are good. It is good information, from what I can tell. of all people, Jim Carrey, the comedian, has a pretty good understanding of the reproductive aspects of alchemy, sexual alchemy, if you will. He would be a good one to watch for an introductory type of perspective. For chemistry, or I don't know how to say it, but Thoisoi2, Thoisoi2. This guy is a brilliant chemist and has great videos on practically every metal in the periodic table. He's just a great guy with his videos, but he also does have a heavy accent, so you'll want to be aware of that. Who else? Oh, yes. Theoria Apophosis, I believe, is Ken, I think is his name. He's got a really neat channel. This guy would be the guy to go to for translations and ancient texts, and also electromagnetics and optical things. He's really good at that stuff as well. And I agree with him on photons not existing. I know that sounds crazy off the bat, but it makes sense the way he describes it, and maybe I'll do a video on that later. I disagree with him on electrons. I think that is a form of condensed existence, but photons, sketchy. So, what else? Oh, yes. I wanted to quickly talk about episode 7, or my part 7. YouTube commenter named Magi said, "Hey, I don't have a good path for converting metal into medicine. I have the acetate path, where you introduce an organic acid like vinegar and work your way up from a base metal to an organic oil, using the metal as sort of a platform for your chemical synthesis. Well, I have another idea for you. Look at an electrical path. So imagine, say for example, citric acid or some fruit juice type substance in a container with the metal electrodes put into the container, and then as the fluid is electrified, you're going to get a change in the chemistry to produce, you might be able to produce iron compounds or other medicines that way. And of course, iron compounds are not they're a prescriptive medicine, not a preventative medicine. You have to know your iron blood level before you go playing with something like that. But the chemistry is there if you wanted to explore an electrical path. So hopefully Magi will hear that. Anyway, that's about enough for today. Have a good one.